Hello, darlings. It's your favorite mistress of the dark, here to pull back the curtain on some tales that are a little too real for comfort. We all love a good scare on Halloween, don't we? Spooky costumes, creepy decorations, the thrill of walking through a haunted house. It's all in good fun. But what happens when the fun stops? What happens when the line between a playful fright and real-life terror blurs into something truly horrifying? Tonight, we're not talking about your average ghost stories whispered around a campfire for a cheap thrill. Oh no, my little ghouls. These stories are different. These stories are true. The air gets colder around Halloween. Nights get longer. Shadows seem to stretch and dance in ways they don't any other time of year. On All Hallows Eve, the veil between our world and the next is at its thinnest. Spirits can cross over. Things that should stay buried sometimes find their way back to the surface. It's the perfect time for things to go bump in the night. For strange occurrences to feel a little too close to home. Sometimes the most terrifying monsters are not the ones in costumes. They walk among us, hidden in plain sight. Gather close and dim the lights. Lock your doors, bolt your windows, check under your bed, just in case. These tales are not for the faint of heart. Whispers from the past, echoes of real events that turned celebration into a living nightmare. Are you ready, my pretties? Are you sure you want Halloween horror to become Halloween reality? Don't say I didn't warn you. Our first tale takes us back to a dark night in Oklahoma, not on Halloween itself, but close enough for the chill to linger. Camp Scott, an old weathered sign half hidden by vines. In 1977, a group of young Girl Scouts arrived at Camp Scott for a summer of fun. They were excited for campfire songs, swimming, making new friends. The camp was surrounded by beautiful woods, but there was a local legend. People whispered stories about strange things happening in those trees. A story was told about a woman who was found hanging from a tree years ago. Some said her spirit still roamed the area, a sorrowful and angry ghost. The camp counselors tried to dismiss these stories as silly folklore, but on the first night, something felt wrong. Weeks earlier, a counselor had found a disturbing note in an empty tent. The note said that 3 campers would be murdered. The next morning, a counselor went to check tent 8. She called out their names. No answer. A terrible silence hung in the air. When she looked inside, she discovered a scene of unimaginable horror. Lori Farmer, Doris Milner, Michelle Goose had been brutally murdered in their sleep. The entire camp was thrown into chaos and terror. A massive manhunt began. An escaped convict, Gene Leroy Hart, was the main suspect. He was captured and put on trial, but to everyone's shock, he was found not guilty. No one was ever convicted for the murders of the 3 Girl Scouts. Our next story is the reason parents check their children's candy every Halloween. It happened in 1974 in Pasadena, Texas. A man named Ronald Clark O'Brien took his 2 children trick-or-treating, Timothy, Elizabeth, with a neighbor and their kids. It was a normal Halloween night. Children in costumes ran from house to house, bags filling with candy. They were excited and happy, but Ronald had a dark and terrible plan that would turn this night into a tragedy. Later that evening, Ronald gave his son Timothy a Pixy Stix to eat before bed. A giant Pixy Stix, a special treat. Timothy had trouble getting the powder out because it was clumped together. His father helped him and Timothy ate the sour candy. Within an hour, the boy felt very sick. He began vomiting and convulsing violently. He died on the way to the hospital. At first, everyone thought it was an accident or a stranger giving poisoned candy. The police started to investigate. They collected candy from the other children. They discovered Ronald had given poisoned Pixy Stix to 4 other children, including his daughter Elizabeth. The police found the Pixy Stix top had been opened and resealed with a staple. The candy was mixed with a large amount of cyanide. The investigation revealed a dark secret. Ronald O'Brien was in serious debt. He had taken out large life insurance policies on both children. Ronald was arrested and found guilty of murder. He became known as the Candyman. Let's travel to a grand old theater, a place of music and drama. Many old theaters have stories of ghosts, but the tale of the New Amsterdam Theater in New York City is especially chilling. This story is about a ghost named Olive Thomas. She was a beautiful actress and a Ziegfeld Follies showgirl in the early 1900s. She was famous for her beauty and her lively spirit. She performed on the stage of the New Amsterdam Theater and was loved by many. Her life seemed like a fairy tale, but it had a tragic end. In 1920, while on a trip to Paris with her husband Jack Pickford, Olive died under mysterious circumstances. The official story is that she accidentally drank a bottle of poison that was meant for her husband's medical condition. She died a painful death in a Paris hospital. Her body was brought back to the United States, and her spirit, it seems, returned to the place she loved most, the New Amsterdam Theater. For years after her death, stagehands and actors started reporting strange things happening in the theater, especially when it was empty and dark. People would see a woman in a green beaded dress carrying a blue bottle. They said she would walk across the dark stage from one side to the other before disappearing through a wall. They believed it was the ghost of Olive Thomas, forever reliving her final moments, or perhaps just visiting her old home. She wasn't a scary ghost, mostly she just seemed sad. Workers would often say, "Good night, Olive," before leaving the theater, a tradition to show respect and keep her spirit calm. Even today, actors and staff say they sometimes see her. Olive Thomas, the beautiful showgirl, is still a resident of the New Amsterdam Theater, a silent phantom who reminds everyone that some stories never truly end. This next story is a classic urban legend. Many believe it's based on a real 1960s crime in Columbia, Missouri. It became a warning for every teenager who's ever babysat. A teenage girl is babysitting in a large, quiet house. The children are asleep upstairs. The girl feels nervous being there all alone. She watches TV. It's a dark night and the only light is the screen. The phone rings. She answers, but there's only silence. She hangs up. A few minutes later, the phone rings again. A raspy voice whispers, "Have you checked the children?" She hangs up, thinking it's a prank. The house suddenly feels much bigger and darker. The phone rings a third time. It's the same man. "Have you checked the children?" Now terrified, she calls the police to report the calls. The officer says they'll trace the next call. Keep him on the phone as long as possible. The phone rings. It's him again. She keeps him talking, heart pounding. After a few minutes, the phone rings. This time it's the police officer, panicked. "Get out of the house now!" the officer shouts. "The calls are coming from inside the house. He's on the phone upstairs." She drops the phone and runs out the front door as fast as she can. Police arrive moments later and rush inside. They go upstairs and find the man. He has already murdered the children. This story is a terrifying reminder that danger can be much closer than you think. On Christmas Eve, 1945, a night that should have been filled with joy and excitement, a terrible tragedy struck the Sodder family in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jenny Sodder lived in a big house with 9 of their 10 children. That night, a fire broke out in their home. The house was quickly consumed by flames. George and Jenny escaped. 4 of their children managed to escape the burning house: Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, Betty. The parents tried desperately to save them. George tried to get back into the house. The fire was too intense, flames blocking him. He ran to get his ladder. The ladder was missing. He then tried to start his 2 coal trucks, but neither truck would start, even though they had worked perfectly the day before. The phone line to the house was also dead. It seemed like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. The fire department was slow to arrive because the fire chief couldn't be reached by phone. By the time they got there, the house was just a pile of ashes. The next morning, the firefighters searched the rubble, but they found no bones, no remains of the 5 children. The fire chief told the grieving parents that the fire was so hot it must have completely cremated the bodies, but George and Jenny did not believe this. The Sodder family put up a billboard on the highway with pictures of their missing children, offering a reward for information, but they never found them. The mystery of what happened to the Sodder children on that fiery night remains unsolved. Imagine buying your dream home, a beautiful house in a safe, friendly neighborhood. You are excited to start a new life with your family. Then you start receiving strange letters. This is what happened to the Broaddus family in 2014 when they bought a house at 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey. Before they even moved in, they received the first letter. It was addressed to the new owner. The writer claimed to be the watcher and said that their family had been watching the house for generations. The letter was friendly at first, welcoming them to the neighborhood, but then it became creepy. The watcher asked if they had found what is in the walls yet. The letter mentioned the Broaddus children, calling them young blood. The writer said, "I am pleased to know your names now and the name of the young blood you have brought to me." The family was terrified. Who was this person? How did they know so much about their family already? The dream house was quickly turning into a nightmare. The family received more letters. Each one was more threatening than the last. The watcher claimed to be the protector of the house and seemed angry that the family was making changes to it. The letters asked, "Will the young blood play in the basement, or are they too afraid to go down there alone?" The Broaddus family was too scared to move into the house. They went to the police, but the police couldn't find out who was sending the letters. They investigated neighbors, but everyone denied knowing anything about it. The identity of the Watcher was never discovered. The story of the Westfield Watcher is a chilling reminder that you never really know who is watching you. This last story is a modern urban legend, but there are many people who swear it happened to them. It's a story that has spread across the internet, a tale of strange visitors who appear late at night. It often begins on a quiet evening, maybe close to Halloween. A person is at home, relaxing, when they hear a knock at the door. It's late. They are not expecting anyone. They look through the peephole and see two children on the porch. The kids look about 10 to 13. They're dressed in simple, slightly old-fashioned clothes. They stand silently, heads down. The person feels a strange, wrong kind of fear. They open the door a crack. The children speak in a calm, flat voice. "We're lost. Our car broke down. Can we use your phone? Can we get some water?" They seem polite, but unsettling. The person feels overwhelming dread. They know they shouldn't let them in. The children grow more insistent. "Please let us in," they say. "We need to use your phone." Then the kids look up. Their eyes are completely black. No white, no iris. Two dark voids. The sight is terrifying. The person slams the door and locks it. And so, my little horrors, our journey through the shadows comes to an end. For now, we've peeked into the true stories that make the hair on our arms stand up. Tales that prove the world can be a much scarier place than any movie screen can show. From poisoned candy given by a father's hand, mysterious watchers, children with eyes as black as night. These events are not just stories. They are scars left on our collective memory. Grim reminders that real evil exists, and it doesn't always wear a monster mask. It can wear a familiar face or hide in a friendly neighborhood. The next time you're out trick-or-treating and you see the flickering candlelight inside a pumpkin, remember these tales. Think of the thin veil between our world and the unknown, and how easily it can be torn. The fear these stories create is real because the events were real. The victims were real. The terror was real. And the most frightening part of all? Many of these mysteries remain unsolved, leaving questions that hang in the air like ghosts, forever unanswered. The spirits of the lost, the missing, and the betrayed continue to wander in our legends. So when you turn off the lights tonight and you're tucked safely in your bed, listen closely. Can you hear that? They might be just outside your door, waiting patiently. They might even be inside. Unpleasant dreams.